What we are going to consider this morning is the pitch that an organization has to do to a media house or a journalist. So, why must we pitch? So, we agree then that a pitch is a form of communication, right? It's a message, it's a letter, and it can take different forms. So a pitch is to send targeted, relevant content and ideas to the right media house. Let's note it, right media house and journalist at the right time. The aim is to generate interest for coverage in creating a news story around the content, which means that you, the organization, you are looking forward for a certain exposure. You want to work with the media. The media will not just get up and come. You have to be able to convince them, and that is what a pitch is about. So the goals of a pitch is to increase, if it's your social media thing, increase it, the traffic there. Is to invite the press to petition more or less, also to boost revenue. Because especially from the perspective of an organization that is doing sales, you want to boost your revenue, so you send a pitch, and the media does the publicity for you. Okay. And so when it comes to pitching, one thing that we also need to know is about framing and reframing in pitching. Generally, framing refers to how the media packages and presents information to the public. In the media, framing is the process of presenting an issue or a message in a way that emphasizes certain aspects and downplays others. While it is a media concept, it is a mass communication theory that can be applied in every communication-related activity. So it's not just the media that does framing. So framing, for instance, the headlines that we use in our newspapers, in our broadcast, is all about framing. So you want to ensure that you are using certain words, you are hyping a certain perspective because you want that project, that activity to be seen as important. And so framing has to do with how best you can make your pitch important or your event important to the media. And it's about the choice of words, the arrangement, how you put your words together. What framing does? Framing can highlight an issue to make sense of events. Framing can affect how people interpret information, form opinions, and make decisions. It can regulate the audience's perception and also the acceptance of a particular meaning. So you want to invite media to a program you are doing, or you want them to learn about your research findings. How you go about it will enable the media house or the journalist to make sense of it. If you are unable to highlight those key areas, the media house, the editor or the journalist will not be able to make any sense out of it. So it's all about making sense of what you want the journalist to do for you or the media house to do for you. And at the end of the day, like I said initially, your intention of working with the media is to influence the media audience in your favor. It's not just about your contents or just about getting to the media, but to use them to influence the audience in your favor. That is why framing is very, very necessary in doing messages. Reframing is the process of changing the frame or perspective of an issue or a message to create a different meaning or impression. Let's say that you've done your message. Let's say that you send a pitch and you realize that you are not getting the results that you want to get. Maybe the media house is not minding you. Maybe the journalist hasn't even responded to your call or to your email. What do? You reframe to see how best you can catch the editor's eye or the journalist's eye. That is the essence of reframing. So you've sent a first one, You didn't see anything. You don't give up. You need to rehash the statement that you sent. Reframing can challenge existing frames, introduce new frames, or shift the focus of attention. For example, reframing a conflict. Now, we do have conflicts in biotechnology, but I'm using this as a typical, like a community misunderstanding situation. Reframing a conflict as a collaboration opportunity or a learning experience can change how people approach it. So it's all about the words. So instead of saying that, oh, there is a conflict situation over here, you don't present it that way, but you want to present it as an opportunity for collaboration. And I remember when I did a similar presentation somewhere, the people asked me, okay, so can we do propaganda? I said, no, it's not about propaganda, because most often propaganda is based on false information, fake. But this is true, just that you want to present it in certain ways that highlights the importance of what you want the media to do for you. Why framing and reframing matters? Framing and reframing are important because they can shape public discourse and opinion. Through framing and reframing, you can define the problem and the solution, persuade and motivate your audience, and manage conflicts and controversies. It can help you to clarify the nature and scope of the issue, the causes and the consequences, and the possible actions and outcomes. Additionally, it can appeal to your audience's values, emotions, and interests, and reduce polarization, find common ground, and foster dialogue and collaboration. So this is why it matters that in doing your messages, you utilize the skill of framing and reframing. The concept of framing in message development. So I think I can even skip this one, because we agree that when you are sending a pitch, it is a message that you are sending. It's a communication. It may take the form of an email. It may take the form of a letter. It may even take the form of a phone call. Those are all, they can come under pitches, and the message that you send, from one person to the other, we are communicators, so we understand that. So let me go on. Message framing. So message framing has to do with the manner in which a message is packaged and presented to influence how it is interpreted by the audience. So this one, your audience is the media house. How the media house is going to see your message and accept it, and at the end of the day, do what you want them to do, is what message framing is about. Now, steps to effective framing and reframing messages. To frame and reframe effectively, it is essential to understand your purpose and your audience. What is it that you are seeking to do? What is it that you want the media to understand? What event are you trying to invite them to? What product do you want to show to the media? And then your audience. So you need to consider their needs. I think yesterday the issue of audience came up, and even this morning. You want to consider their needs, expectations, and preferences. And you want to analyze the existing frames in the public discourse and how they affect the issue and stakeholders. So before you do that message or that pitching, you should know the audience. That is why it's important in your media relations to identify or to prioritize the media houses, the journalists. I remember I said that it's not just the media houses, you also need a list of journalists, key journalists that you can reach out to. Then you also need to know the audience. Who are they reaching? And why do you want to reach them? Then you find out, because if what you are selling to them, the information you are giving out to them, has no relevance for them, it doesn't work. The media house will not even pick it. So you need to understand where the media house comes from, what is their focus, and also what is the focus, the needs of their audiences. Once you are able to do that, then you are good to go. Then you select the frame you want to use or challenge the audience and the language in which to convey it. Then test and refine your frame to ensure it resonates with your audience and opponents, and compare it to other frames to identify areas for improvement. So obviously you have your internal stakeholders, so you can do that testing with them after you have done your message. You can sit and then show it to them, discuss with them, let them try and see their reaction to the message. And if they think that, no, this one, it will not go down with the audience, then you come up with another one that will have the most relevance for them. Steps to writing a media pitch. So first of all, you establish the newsworthiness of your topic or issue by considering the following. I've already spoken about the purpose. You should have an understanding of what you want to convey. So it's not just about inviting them to cover your event. What is it about the event that you want them to cover? So some of the things you need to consider is, first of all, while the story is important to tell at this time, why is it that it is at this time that you think that the media need to come in? Is the story's angle engaging for the audience of the media house? Will it attract that editor? Will it attract that journalist? Will it be relevant for that media house? Does the angle create emotion response? You know, there are, when we learn journalism, one thing that we learned, the lead, the intro, it should appeal to somebody's emotion. At least the first 5 sentences should appeal to somebody's emotion. And by appealing to emotion means that you are able to move the person to act. So how is it, what is it that will touch the person to do what you are expecting him or her to do? The next thing is to verify the appropriate recipient and personalize the outreach. When you send a pitch to the right person, it can increase the probability that an editor will read it and find the topic interesting and contact you. So I've spoken about the media list. So you personalize it. I think I touched on it in my first presentation. You don't do a general letter and then address it to the following media houses. There you have listed about 10 media houses. So, you know, and media houses, just like every profession, wants to feel very important, you know, in the eyes of whoever is coming to work. The media house is also the same. Am I right, Sandra? Media, we also want to feel important. So if you send a letter to me with a long list, addressed to the following, a long list, well, you are inviting the others, you can have them, I'm not interested. But when you personalize it, to Mr. Jonathan, news editor, or editor of the nation, this one you are getting my attention because it's addressed to me. You may have sent it to some other person. But because it is personalized, you get the person's attention. You get the attention of that media house. And then the reference should also be personalized, like you know the person. At times, so somebody even recommends that instead of being too formal, dear Mr. So-so-and-so, or dear Madam So-so, you can just use the person's first name. Hi, Jonathan. Hello, Jonathan. Good day, Jonathan. Let's personalize it. It works. Because then it's like, oh, already this person knows me. Because if you don't know somebody, you can't personalize it. And that is the trick in it, in being personal with such messages. Then the next is to write a captivating subject line, whether it's email, hand delivery, whatever. There is need to verify the most effective mode of communicating with the media organization or contact person. I've touched on that, whether you are going to use telephone. But if you are going to use telephone, it means you would have written down something that you are going to read out to the person via telephone. Then you can also send as a letter or an email, you know, the old-fashioned way of delivering letters, hard copies. And use a compelling subject line, since it is the first thing that an editor will read. Successful subject lines often include the following: simple and straightforward language. We've spoken a lot about technical jargons and those things. You are not going to show what an English literate you are. No. You are not going to show how much of grammar you know. No, you just want to pass on information. Let it be simple, concise, and straight to the point. Use emotional or engaging words that match the sentiments of your pitch. And make use of questioning words like what, how, and why. You know, those, is it 4 W's and 1 H, it also comes in here. So why? Why do you need that? How? What? You answer those things. So once you do that, then you are getting somewhere with your pitch. Develop a compelling lead. The lead is the introductory part of the pitch. It is a captivating sentence that gives the reader or audience a reason to continue reading. And this is where the framing and messaging becomes essential. This is dependent on the angle you decide to use for your story, which is mostly determined by the focus of the media house and their target audience. In order to formulate your lead, you can consider the following examples. So you write, and mind, some of the articles some journalists write, it's so appealing. And communicators and organizational representatives need to write in that manner. We don't say write all that there is, but use a certain kind of language, a language that is appealing. You know the stories you pick, and then you read the intro, and you really don't bother to read again. You know some stories are like that. Now you want your pitch to rather engage the person to the extent that he reads it all before he puts it down. So one of the things you want to use in your lead is the news peg. This refers to a trending topic or current events, particularly national in spoke. If the event has been published by that media outlet, determine how your pitch can offer a new angle that will be of interest to readers and your audience. So if you are going to communicate on the mosquito strain, for instance, I want to believe somehow it has been published before. Now, if you want to go back to it, maybe something different has happened. So you want to use that news. What is the new thing that has happened? The news. Yesterday we talked. He said we are looking for news. So what is newsy about what you want to convey to that journalist or media house? So you can start your lead with that. The other thing, you can also use the time peg. This may refer to an approaching holiday, anniversary, or activity to demonstrate the relevance and timeliness of the pitch. So we always talk about cashing in on the days. But it's not every day that is relevant for us. For instance, if it's a national holiday, would you want to present something on biotechnology on national holidays? No. Maybe the International Biodiversity Day, because it has to do with the Convention on Biological Diversity. It has to do with the Cartagena Protocol. So you want to cash in on that. That is the essence of this time peg. So you want to, link up to that holiday to show the relevance of what it is that you want to do at that time. Demonstrate why your story is important. This is also known as the value preposition and reveals why the media house or outlet should be interested in your story. This can be done through the following. Emphasize why the story is timely. Highlight how it's relevant to the media house. Highlight how it's relevant to the media house and outlet, and as well as the readers and audience. Connect to the editor's interest or previously published stories. Then mention a related story the media house or outlet has already published and how yours differ. It may not be the same thing you are talking about, but you can link to it, which means that that editor has interest in this kind of stories, or the media house has interest in that kind of story. So you want to establish such linkages. Offer content that connects with the target audience. It's very important to show editors and journalists how your pitch can resonate with their readers and audience. Ways to do this include provide a list of expert resources. I'm glad this morning we have talked a lot about experts. So maybe in your pitch, you can, when you are done with the information, you can even mention somebody's name one of the experts. You can even quote what the expert has said regarding that particular event, that particular product, or that particular research. And you can even provide the content of that expert so that he will be, so this expert may not necessarily be in your organization. No. But he will also be a renowned scientist who has worked on what you are working on. So you can provide their names. And then you can include possible links for the story. That is, you provide links to some statistics that has bearing on what you are trying to talk to the journalist or media house about. Then you can also tell them the reason why you are offering them that story, because obviously they know why. Yes, there are other media houses there, there are other editors there, but why? So you have to sort of, in Ghana we say we want your head to become big. So you want them to feel proud. So you say, yes, I'm sending it to you because I know you report this and you have, make the person, boost the person's morale with your words. Then concluding your pitch, / a call to action, which some refer to as CTA. Your conclusion should guide the editor or journalist towards a clear next step or call to action. This also has to do with the decision that you want the media house or outlet to make, such as covering a particular event, contacting you for more information, or publishing your finished piece. CTAs help to create a sense of urgency and anything that will start them in the direction you want them to go. This should be stated briefly and clearly. So once you are concluding, for further details, please contact me on so and so. If the mode of communication is via social mail, then you know, social media, sorry, then you know the CTIs book a demonstration, learn more, see more, those, you know those things. So this is what we are talking about, the kind of words that will urge them on to take an action, that will make them, that will compel them to do what you want them to do. So that is it. Okay, so I'm done with that.